Hi everyone, it's James here from Production Expert, and you join me down in the shed. But I'm not alone this time. Tom Lowe has joined me to talk about this element of beauty. This is the new Sennheiser Ambeo mic. But before we get onto that, Tom, tell us a little bit about you, about how you came to be part of the community and this whole surround VO, VR thing.
So I've been using Pro Tools around 10 years or so now, mainly in a post-production environment. Do a lot of sound for animation, short animated films, commercials, corporate projects and short films. And now starting to expand into the world of VR sound for 360 video and VR immersive experiences.
Which is where this baby comes in.
Yes.
So we met at Jigsaw, didn't we? One of their
Yep.
Mix of the Pros events.
Yes.
Where I first saw this thing, and I'm guessing you then went,
I want one of those.
I'll have one of those.
Yeah. So my first encounter with ambisonics was probably about 7-8 years ago when Soundfield released the SPS 200 mic.
Which you needed a mortgage for, right?
Yes. I mean, it was the first one which was affordable. It was about £2,000 back then. It's now a bit more. But, you know, I think, okay, it's very nice, but it's still quite expensive. There were cheaper options. The Tetra mic was one. It was about 800 quid, but nowhere near as good. And this one was the first one which was sort of affordable, but had the quality, really filled that mid-ground, and of course it's Sennheiser.
It's a beautiful feeling, beautiful looking piece of kit. We'll whip the top off at some point so you can see the inside of this thing, because there's 4 capsules in a kind of
tetrahedral.
That's the one.
Tetrahedral.
Yeah, some of that. So, and we're just kind of experimenting and just seeing how this thing's working out in a kind of, well, let's face it, an everyman kind of environment, because I'm not set up for surround monitoring.
Don't have to be.
Well, I thought I had to be to start off with, but we'll come on to that and plugins and all sorts of other stuff as we go through. But don't think of the whole VR thing and as just video, because it's very much not. Actually, this is one of those times where I think that the audio side of things is more difficult than the video.
Yeah, certainly more expensive. You can pick up a VR capable camera from Nikon for about £400. There are GoPros. I mean, the GoPro setups are a lot more expensive, but actually...
Where you have them in like a ball type
exactly,
thing.
a 3D printed ball. But actually, considering how many more cameras there are, it's still not that much more expensive than the mic and a recorder. The audio is definitely still quite high-end, and there aren't that many options, whereas for the cameras, you've got lots of options in different price ranges.
Now, one of the big things we saw at NAMM this year was, and I'm hearing it all the time on podcasts, the guys on the Audio Nowcast are constantly going on about virtual reality, augmented reality, and sound for these formats.
Everywhere. It is everywhere. And it's not just for video, it's not just for games, it's for all these things, and there's a lot of convergence happening. A lot of videos are using elements of game engines. There's a lot of bits from game audio coming in as well. And then, of course, there's all the stuff we know about traditional linear media and how to make that work in a 360 video capacity.
So let's explain the setup a little bit, because as always in making these sort of videos, there is the video production element of things, and then there's the audio element, but both have to kind of match together. So our system is way more complicated than it would be if you were just making an Ambeo recording. But because we're recording the Ambeo recording, lost yet? I am. Things look a bit more complicated than they actually are. But actually, it's fairly straightforward. We're running out of the mic, out of this amazing breakout thing.
Yes.
On the world's shortest snake.
Yes.
Thanks, Sennheiser. 4 XLRs then are running into 4 separate channels on the Apollo 8P. Now, the first thing you're going to ask is, why are we not using the first 4 channels on the console? And there's a really good reason for that.
Gain linking. All channels have to have the same amount of gain. So the plugin knows that each channel is effectively the same level. Otherwise, you might find your height channel or your left is off, a bit louder, a bit quieter, and that will throw off the immersive, or even the stereo. If you were to go down mix the stereo, it will just throw off the balance. And these are very carefully balanced capsules, and the plugin needs to have that, so it knows what it's dealing with.
And for those of you out there who are thinking, wow, what an odd orientation for the microphone, I thought so too. But because it's a tetrahedral multi-capsule environment, the mic can actually work any way up. You just need to tell the software that it's working any way up.
So we currently have it in the upright position. You can have it in end fire mode, or you can have it dangling down from the ceiling.
Yeah. Very, very cool. So let's just show you quickly what we've got going on. We're running over here on my MacBook Pro because we needed something that was Thunderbolt. And so we've got our 4 channels coming in here into this what we've called the Ambeo input channel. Just tell us a little bit about these here 2 plugins as well, because there's some interesting stuff going on there, I think.
So the first one on our right is the Ambeo plugin, which is provided for free by Sennheiser, and anyone can download this. You don't have to prove you bought the mic. It's a free plugin, and this is basically taking the A format 4 channels from the mic and converting them to B format, which is either a delivery format or a format where you can take it and do further processing with it. You've got 2 options for that.
So A format is just basically the source format?
Yes, it's to do with the arrangement of the capsules,
right.
And the output channels 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, output 1 has to be input 1 through to 4, right. So the plugin knows which capsule it's dealing with, and then we take that and it goes through Sennheiser's clever processing
algorithm processing thing, yeah,
and gives you B format. Now you could upload that straight to YouTube or Facebook, embed that in a video, and you could just have a natural recording, or you can start processing it further and do some post on it.
Right, and that's presumably where the surround zone plugin comes in.
Yes, so we're using the surround zone plugin currently purely as a way to get our B format down to stereo so we can monitor it.
So we've got effectively the Ambeo, the Sennheiser plugin is the bit that's doing the decoding from the microphone.
Yep.
And then the surround zone plugin, Soundfield plugin, is the one that's doing the decoding from B format to whatever else we want it to be.
Yes, in this instance,
and it's doing that in the same plugin channel. We've set up a multi
4-channel input, quad channel, taking all 4 inputs, processing that as B format into the next plugin, which is then spitting that out as left-right stereo. So
we're going to be a bit more creative than usual with the output of this here video. What we'd love to do is have had a 360 microphone, and then we could have given you a 360 video and a 360 audio recording.
And you move your head around in the video and the sound would follow.
But sadly, we don't have a 360 camera, but we do have a 360 mic. So what we're going to do is we'll put up the file, the audio file, for you to download of the 4-channel recording. And then
in A format.
In A format. And we'll give you the links to the plugins so you can download, mess with the plugins, and listen to us in surround. Now, I agree, 2 blokes sitting either side of a surround microphone is not probably the best use of a surround recording system.
It's not Apocalypse Now, is it?
Not really. I don't expect any explosions to be going on behind the camera or anything like that. But it's certainly quite interesting when you start moving around.
Yes, I suppose maybe we can move around a bit to make it more interesting for our listeners.
I think so many people, and you said this earlier, have concentrated on the whole dropping one of these mics into a group of singers.
Yes.
Or dropping it into
a very static, not particularly interesting. Very good if you want a naturalistic recording, but I think currently there could be a lot more creative uses.
Well, you said to me just now, overheads.
Overhead drum mic. Why not? You've got 4 capsules. You could turn it around. You could completely change the position of your mic.
Because cymbals are in different places around a kit, if you got a bit more extreme, you could have two crashes
Yes.
around the mic.
Yeah.
That would be quite interesting, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely
One
a
could
lot
try.
of potential because obviously this is being sold for VR. Sennheiser have taken it upon themselves with the whole Ambeo platform, I suppose, because this is one piece of a puzzle, and the different Sennheiser Ambeo, it's monitoring, recording. This is obviously recording. There's software processing as well, but they're gearing it towards VR. I mean, it's called the Ambeo VR mic, but that doesn't mean you can't use it for more traditional applications as well. And you don't have to use it for VR. You could just use it for recording ambiences, atmospheres in 5.1 or 7.1.
And it's going to make capturing ambiences for film a lot more interesting, rather than having to have. I mean, I saw one of the more interesting things we saw at NAMM this year was the Sherps. I'll call it the flying saucer. Enormous, great thing, beautiful, and the effect was. It's the first time I've ever put a VR headset on, and then gone, "Where's my hand?" It was quite a bizarre thing to do for the first time. But that's a multi-thousand-pound solution.
Yes.
That's quite sizable and not the sort of thing you'd want to have on the end of a fishpole.
Yeah, I mean, this you could put on a boom if you wanted, or you could put it on a mic in a field, and because it's quite small, it's quite discreet, and you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself, and this is really a perfect way to go about doing that.
I'm thinking for crowd noise,
Crowd noises
at a live concert.
Yep, or even the concert, recording the concert, and have the audience behind, and the band, and then you could get a feed from the desk to reinforce that. But you use this as your main focus for your sound field, and then take it from there.
Because so many people are now doing VR concerts.
Yep.
VR. I want to say a VR DVD. I know it's not a DVD, but to be in the concert, to be able to wander around the stage.
And some of the Ambeo videos done by Sennheiser are exactly of that. DJ sets recorded in a club in Germany where they've got this mic and they've got the crowd, and you can immerse yourself kind of like being there.
So it strikes me this is the sort of thing where people are going to be coming up with uses for this. It's almost like, here's the solution, now find me a problem. I know that's a very dangerous way to look at it, but
no.
What are some of your ideas for what you want to use it for?
So starting to look into 360 video, product videos, estate agent videos. Have the surround soundtrack to go with that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're on set, you can actually capture the sound of the set. So in post, you've got something to build upon, something to work with. Music recording, again, gigs, even without the filming, just to have a nice surround recording. Sound effect libraries, obviously more and more people are going to be creating content in 360. There aren't many sound effect libraries currently recorded in Ambisonics. There are a few, but compared to how many stereo sound effect libraries there are, it's hardly anything. So that means you could either take stereo sounds and pan them, or you could use upmixing plugins, but nothing is going to be as good as actually recording that ambience or that location or that whatever in its native format. So I think ambisonic sound effect libraries is certainly something that are going to be you'll be seeing more and more of.
Well, just thinking about it, I mean, on a film set, everyone sees big explosions and they think big explosion equals big noise. Generally isn't the case. That explosion is always put in post.
Yes.
Because a big fireball just goes whoop, in my experience.
So, recording the elements, because an explosion will have lots of separate recordings, often made in stereo. Mm-hmm. Record those in 5.1 or ambisonics, and then make them whatever format you want. You could record them with this mic, and those could be decoded to full-blown Dolby Atmos with the height channels and everything.
That's very cool, isn't it?
And then you layer those up, so you record all the elements for your explosion, record them with the height channels, layer them up, away you go.
I'm still... It was actually at the same event where I had a chat with Rich Nevins from Avid, and that was really the first time I learnt and actually got my head around the whole object-oriented workflows.
Yeah.
Because it is a
And
very different way of thinking about it.
it is. There are some similarities, and there are some very, very different new ways of working. And a lot of those things which were developed for Atmos and Auro 3D, these other immersive formats, are working their way into VR. So Dolby have Atmos for VR, which is using the same object-based technology and processes and plugins, but renders out for a headset.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see The Force Awakens last year in LA in Dolby Atmos, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And as a Star Wars super fan and sci-fi nut, the whole idea of like 3D sound effects and all that sort of stuff and 3D spaceships.
They're going to have to remix all the Star Wars now, and
another special edition box set.
the Atmos version.
The Blu-ray Atmos. Is Blu-ray Atmos?
Yes.
I guess it can be.
Yeah, there is.
Ridiculous. Tom, thank you so much for coming down.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you for bringing it. I can think of one, Mr. Mike Thornton, who is desperate to get his grubby mitts on this thing. So maybe if we hook up at... Actually, maybe there's an opportunity to do some recording at BVE.
I think there's
some
lots of
crowd
opportunities.
noises, yeah.
I think they've got lots of potential.
Do some videos. I'll see if I can borrow a 360 camera for BVE. That'd be
Yeah.
hilarious.
That'd be brilliant.
Thank you so much for coming down, Tom. Thank you guys out there for watching. I've been James from Pro Tools Expert, and we'll see you again soon for much more Gear Talk.